There are 4 classes to master in Battlefield 6. Whether you like sniping, reviving, blowing things up, or face tanking bullets, there's always another skill to learn. In this video, I want to do a deep dive on one of the classes in the game. Today, we'll be focusing on Engineer. Now, I won't be talking about the ways you must play this class, but rather I'll be breaking down things to help you make better decisions. This will help you play the game that you want to play rather than the one that I'm playing. So if this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by uploading the knowledge in my videos. So with that being said, let me give you some big tips to help you play Engineer better and more effectively. Now, Engineer is a tricky class to master, as the title does denote. It's easy to point and shoot with a launcher, but there is a finesse to it to really unlock the full potential of this class. You need to learn proper positioning, targeting the weaker portions of the armor like the rear or the top, and using your grenades to do damage in between the reloads to be a one-man tank popping warhead. Outside of that, it's super important that you keep your eyes out for any vehicles. You're the only class that can pop vehicles reliably. This is your specialty. You need to be the one that focuses these down, or at least puts enough damage on target that your vehicles can clean up. I think it's a bit of a misconception that you need to be the one that gets that kill. Feels great, but nay, you're the one that can shut down the enemy's healing so that the tank shooting can get the upper hand in a tank battle. This is because your rockets, after getting the proper training level path, reduce enemy tank healing by 50%. This is huge. Another big part of the Engineer it's your mines. This is part of mastering the class. Dropping them on the ground in the center of the road is where you start, but eventually you learn to hide them just off the curb, so the curb blocks line of sight, or around corners, so tanks turn into them since they're looking down range rather than on the ground. 2 mines can outright destroy a tank, but 1 mine and you shooting also pops them as well. They also stay on the ground for a long time after you die, so use these to your advantage. Lastly, and not only are you the king of repairing, but you also make it so people can't steal vehicles that you are repairing. So by understanding this, you can be a pocket heal bot for a tank that keeps them going for an entire match if you're lucky. But that's too long to watch this entire video. I'm going to break down the class and talk about gun options, gadgets, and give you some tips on how to play them. But if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters with the timeline in the description. And if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Lastly, don't forget to check me out on Twitch, where I play Battlefield and a number of other games, linked in the description below. Let's get started on why Engineer is tricky to master, a guide and deep dive for Battlefield 6. So jumping into the game, let's take a look at our signature gadget, our kit as it were, our set, and we have all the stuff that makes Engineer unique. The biggest thing, and this is something that I mentioned in the intro, it's mechanized infantry here. So you take less explosive damage when you're near a friendly vehicle, and you prevent them from being occupied by hostiles in the event that all vehicle crew exit. Repair vehicle health to keep both effects active. So as long as you're repairing, people cannot get into the vehicle that are enemies, and you'll take less damage. So when a tank shoots it or someone shoots it with a rocket, you will take less damage. So that's a huge portion of this. You can actually lock a thing down, a vehicle down, as long as you're actively repairing it. Of course, you also have your repair tool, which can also damage enemies as well as repair them. And you have SMG proficiency, which is going to give you improved hip fire control. That's it. Does not give you improved ADS. Recoil control. It's just from hip fire. So this does promote a run and gun style of play, but anyone can use SMGs pretty much at the same level of proficiency if they're aiming down sights. So that is something to be mindful of. But that is your signature set. It's not crazy because there are so many other things that the Engineer does. And I think that the set is pretty, not necessarily overly unique as it is for almost every other class, but it's also the easiest to approach, I'd say. Which brings us then into our conversation about our training path, or our subclass. So our active ability here is Thermal Overdrive. Repair tool fixes with 50% efficiency for 10 seconds, meaning that it doesn't overheat as fast. That is the most crucial thing here. So if you are playing on PC, to activate this, you'd simply press 6. If you are playing on console, you're going to press down both left and right bumpers. Now, this is the only active class active ability that I've seen always works. The medic one, or the support one, sometimes doesn't, and recon sometimes doesn't, but also it won't do it if someone else has already used the UAV. So this is, I don't know if that's a bug right now or what's going on, but that's just worth bringing up in this video. So your 2 paths are anti-armor and combat engineer. The Engineer is the best character to use when you are driving a vehicle. And I'm going to explain why when we talk about combat engineer. It kind of goes without saying because you can repair the vehicle, but it's combat engineer that really makes a difference here. So with anti-armor, you get extra rockets, you reload those rockets faster. And here's the most important thing that I talked about in the intro is devastating impact. Damaging enemy vehicles reduces their repair effectiveness by 50%, meaning it's way harder for people that are pocket engineering an enemy tank to keep it up because your one hit for 10 seconds has reduced that repair effectiveness. Now, I don't know if this is stacking, as in if you can kind of like cascade this effect across multiple different engineers, but either way, just one rocket is enough to help win a tank battle. It's the one that I probably use the most when playing my engineer because combat engineer is a little tricky to unlock. So we do know that you have to get level 20 to unlock these assignments, but to get this you then have to do this portion. The repair vehicle thing here is a little bugged. Sometimes it won't actually track this, so just be mindful of it. You can't even get this done until level 20, and then you do this portion. But in order to even unlock that, deal damage to ground vehicles with launchers, and they'll deal damage to ground vehicles with anti-vehicle mines. So it is going to take you a considerable amount of time to unlock that. Just be mindful of it. Now with combat engineer though, we get a different style of play. We focus on being a driver, basically. Sure, gadget fortification, repairing a friendly gadget permanently increases its max health. That's okay. That is what that is. You can do this for like deployable cover, which is pretty cool. But overheat control, heat buildup on gadgets, great, but vehicle weapons is 50% slower. So anyone who's in your gunner seat, or you're using maybe the machine gun turret on your tank, it now has a 50% slower heat buildup. And then vehicle regeneration, this one is huge. So occupy a vehicle to start regenerating its health. Will activate if above its critical damage state. Below in the health bar, there's two little blips. That last blip, that last little like box right below your health bar, that's the critical damage state. So as long as you're above that, you'll regenerate health. Why is that so good? Because most vehicles have something like this. Field maintenance. Enables faster vehicle health recovery after taking damage. Will also gain ammo sooner and faster. So if you're playing that combat engineer, you can then switch to like reinforced plating if you want. And now I just have better damage resistance or enhanced loading. So now I can increase my rate of fire or optimize handling. So I can just Tokyo drift this fucking tank around a corner. Whatever it is, it frees up that slot. And that is a huge boon. So playing as an engineer, using combat engineer is what enables you to really truly be the master of any and all vehicles. And it's probably the one that I focus on the most when I'm going for that style of play. It's kind of like, you know, it comes down to you and the player, right? Like, do you not like using vehicles? And you'll never use, wrong character, then you'll never use combat engineer really, because the other two, this one isn't good enough. But if you like playing vehicles, I'll swap to a combat engineer to really take advantage of this. Moving into a conversation about grenades, we've got the anti-vehicle grenade. So what you want to do is throw this above a tank. When thrown, it follows the trajectory of a typical grenade before releasing a parachute and dropping rapidly for a top attack. This is a little buggy. It does actually work. It will actually parachute down onto the top of a vehicle, but it's like it has to hit the apex of the parabola. I said exactly what I just said out loud in order for that to happen. If it's already on its descent down, it'll pretty much just let itself slam to the top of a tank. So this thing does do damage, and it's the best way to actually get a tank to pop on a 1v1 scenario. Because if you're using your your launcher plus this anti-vehicle grenade, you will do enough damage. It just is a lot of concentrated effort. It's the only way to do it until you get higher up in levels. The other grenade you would get is a mini grenade. I don't like it very much. It does less damage. It can be thrown further, but I'd rather just use the standard frag grenade. I've not ever pushed off the AV grenade because it's so focused on what this class does, which is pop vehicles. And that's what I want it to do. So again, remember, throw this above vehicles and it will parachute down, but by and large, you should be throwing it above them anyway. Throwing at the side or the front is just not going to do as much damage. Next up, we have our gadgets, and there are tons for engineer. So let's talk about the launchers first, because there are a ton of them. You start off with the MBT law. It's awesome. It will automatically lock on and then shoot up and go down on top of a tank. It's huge. It's great. It takes more than the allotted amount of rockets you've got, though, to kill a tank. You start with 3 rockets. It will take that plus both of your grenades, and you should push them into the red and kill them. But if you switch to the RPG, you will be able to destroy a tank across all of your rockets. It just does not have a lock-on system. It does more damage as a whole, but it does more damage if you hit from the top or from the side or the rear, as always. But that's just general vehicle knowledge. You should always be trying to hit the side or rear of a tank. Further, you should be, if you can't get to the rear of a tank, well, the top obviously too, getting the back side, there is a point that the game registers it as the rear. Now, it's not obviously the direct side of it, right? Like that's still the side, but there's a point kind of like, I'm just going to throw a random thing out here, like 45-degree angle, right? Like that's around where it starts to hit the rear portion of it. So just try to get as close to that as you can, and you'll do the most damage. Now, aside from these, we have then this one. This is another anti-vehicle launcher that is going to be a lock-on anti-vehicle launcher. It will do the most damage, but I'm sorry, this is not a lock-on. You will guide this missile. So when you launch it, you can move the crosshairs left and right or up and down, and it will follow where the crosshairs have gone. So this is kind of like your ultimate evolution, more or less, because your other two, this is an air defense launcher, and then this is a long range launcher. So this one is both anti-air and it is straight up vehicle, like it can do land vehicles. It's just kind of worth noting that you need to lock on for this one to work, and the lock on does require a little bit to get going. It's fine, it's just one you can't really shoot in a pinch, versus the RPG, you can pop up and shoot and drop down, pop up and shoot and drop down. So it has that kind of going for it. If you have a reliable recon that is painting targets, you will lock on and destroy things so quickly with the glaive. It is a much harder hitting launcher than any of them. It just really requires that lock on. Otherwise too, worth noting too with the M136 is that if you pop up from cover, shoot, and then drop down, you might lose track of that. Actually, you might cause it to go into the ground or or not a vehicle, or a building. So just be mindful of that once you get to here. If this is the one, this one also, no. These are all rank except for this one, meaning that you just unlock this through just being an engineer, and you have to get to this location to do it. So it's quite a hefty unlock to get there, but it is where you do get it. So these other four you'll get access to probably way before you even get or touch this one. Now, outside of this, we have our mines. Mines we've talked about in the opening, right? You want to drop these in a way that really helps you out. You do this around the curve of a road. So while someone's taking that turn, they're not looking at the ground as much. You do this in places where it's a little bit easier to conceal too. They do have to ride over them. So you can't put these to the side. So just kind of keep that in mind. But you can kind of be a little tricky with this. You just kind of look at the road, see how they're going to move. They're probably going to have to move over a curb. Placing these on curbs makes it a little bit harder to spot them initially, assuming the tank doesn't have the capability to do so. They can use that through some of their technology. Then you evolve though to this. So the acoustic sensor mine has I don't want to say a tripwire, but it's proximity. So as they get closer, this will trigger, shoot up, and then drop down on the top of the tank. And you can pretty much just follow this up with an RPG shot and immediately destroy a tank. It's great. You don't put it too far off to the side though. Like if you're thinking of a road, you could put this to the side of a road or behind some rubble, and it will probably get the tank. If you put this in the center of the road, yeah, sure, it'll get the tank, but it's a sore thumb. It's a huge bump. It's a huge like finger coming out of the road. You're like, that's a little suspect. This is, like a pimple on the road. This is like a full-fledged index finger. I don't know why I'm using appendages and bodily things to describe this, but this is what I'm going to stick with because I've already made it this far in the video. You also do have a tripwire AV mine as well. This is a little funky because of the surfaces and how it can be placed. I just kind of like this one a little bit more. It's a little more conducive. So just know that this does work as well. I think it's going to come down to dealer's choice and map specific. The one map that is, it's like Bridgeway or whatever, the one where it's pretty much in like downtown San Francisco or whatever it is, where it's just a bunch of streets, this one's awesome. But you can use this one to great effect in a lot of the maps that have rubble on the side of the road, because you can hide this on there, versus this doesn't have a chance to really get a chance to kind of come to life because there's so much crap on the road that limits the range of this because it's using a tripwire sensor. So just kind of use whichever one fits the map in your situation. Just know they have different applications. Lastly, we have two other things. The supply crate, which allows you to be basically kind of like a support, but for vehicles. You drop this down, resupplies ammunition, and speeds up equipment cooldowns for nearby friendly vehicles. So you toss this behind a tank, and that tank is going to love you. And it's really not that heavy an investment. You just have to get this first one unlocked, and then you can just pop it on a tank, and it can sit there and shoot through the majority of the match if it doesn't have to move through, like, you know, breakthrough or rush or whatever. Our last thing, though, is the EOD bot. Johnny 5 is alive with this bad boy, and it's fucking sick. It can repair vehicles, it can repair equipment, it can arm and disarm MCOM bombs, it can blow up once it gets low enough. Like, it is so fun, and you can just dive bomb people with this thing. They freak out when the EOD bot comes their way. It's a really fun playstyle, and man, I love this thing. I absolutely love this thing. You unlock it at rank 40. I don't have that on this account just yet, but once you get it, you've probably already seen them in matches already. They're a lot of fun. It just gives you a whole different way to play that you can really do a lot of cool stuff with. And lastly, it places mines for you. So you don't have to risk yourself going out there and doing it. And you can use this thing to drop mines in back of a tank or in front of a tank and have a lot of fun with it. Now, a discussion on weapons is going to come down to you, the player. I bounce between carbines and SMGs on this class a lot. You can also use assault rifle, because remember, the assault rifle signature weapon thing is just that it allows you to go from sprinting to shooting faster. So carbine, SMG, and assault rifle all feel very much at home with the support. I like playing with SMGs and carbines because when I play assault, I use assault. So I just want something that focuses on carbines, and the M4A1 and AK205 are both really amazing weapons. When you get the QBZ, you're really going to like it as well. It's just a really solid carbine that I think performs very well. In the SMG department too, I just love the SGX. It's really good. I haven't had a chance to play with the UMP yet, so we'll see how that goes. And the P90 is fun but crazy in this game. So once you get it, you'll see how that can really be used. But SGX is just such a hardcore staple of playing the engineer, and it comes down to map specific. If I'm even on bigger open maps like that one I was talking about with the bridge, I still use the SMG because I'm jumping from house to house. But a lot of the larger open maps, I play with a carbine because it just kind of fits the playstyle I want out of a character, which is already kind of running out, hunting and seeking other things that puts me in the open field a lot more than the other weapons do. So use whatever makes sense for you. That's just kind of how I approach the primary slot for this class. And if you're feeling really frisky, jump into some assault rifle, get a little horny with it, but play whatever is going to mesh well with how you're playing your engineer. So how can you really capitalize on being an engineer? And that really comes down to approaching the game knowing that you are the only thing that can really help or hurt vehicles. You're the only one who can repair. You're the only one who can reliably destroy vehicles. Yes, recon can destroy vehicles, but they really need to get up close and personal to do it. You can deal with vehicles at the drop of a hat. And that is really what you're going to be doing here. Yeah, I also want it to be known too that engineer can really melt face being like a rusher. You rushing up and close and personal with an SMG and spraying people with your hip fire recoil reduction and using a laser pointer and all sorts of fucking things is a fun and effective way to play engineers. You can be an absolute terror with all of that. But learning how to really work with your mine placement is going to be a big boon to you, because you can do that once you've captured, let's just say you're playing Conquest and you've captured point B, and B is one of the ones closer to your territory. Well, you can really pepper that thing with some good mine placement, and it's a really great way to deter people trying to bring any Humvees into that place to try to capture it. It'll instantly destroy the Humvee. 2 of those is going to destroy any tank, light or heavy. So you have a lot of ways to directly help out and defend while not even being present with on that point. Those mines, man, like depending on how people have set up their builds, they're so easy to stumble into. And you need a gunner who's really good at like spotting those for you if you're not going to be the one who's actively doing it. So especially now, this early portion of the game, people haven't developed the muscle memory to look for those mines. I would say that the mines now are easier to spot than they ever have been, but they're more damaging than they ever have been too. It used to take like 3 or 4 mines for a lot of different battlefields. This one, one just immediately puts you in a critical state and locks you down, and enough that like the second one just going to immediately blow you up. And remember too, you can place those mines in the heat of a situation. So you can kind of act like a recon, run up behind someone and drop the mines. You don't want to run in front of them and drop the mines because they'll see you do it and they won't go forward. You drop them behind, or you find a point that is far enough behind them to drop the mines and then flank around and shoot the side of a tank. Most tank drivers, in response to damage, will reverse. They won't go forward. They won't hunker in place, which you should be doing as a tank driver if you ever are in those situations. You pop smoke and try to like turn left or right. Because forward's going to be in front of a bunch of enemies. Backwards probably is a booby trap. Left or right at least has a little bit more avenue. So you have these mines that you can really take advantage of and really sway how vehicles are entering and exiting all of those hard points that you're trying to defend. So really, it's around getting that placement down. Now, also too, you've got launchers. No one else has launchers. So you need to be able to use those launchers to the best of their ability. If you're going to be doing the pop up and down out of the cover situation, using the MBT law, using eventually the RPG, and understanding you need to get that rear, you need to get that top to do the most damage, if not the side. Don't be shooting it straight on a tank. It's just not going to help. MBT law has the advantage of always hitting the top, right? Because it's going to shoot up. It just doesn't do the most damage as a result, because it's just always like that. But be mindful too. Look around the battlefield. Do you see that there's a lot of targets painted whenever you look down the scope of your law? Well, try and switch over to something that has target lock to take advantage of that so you can do more damage. You will find that if you swap over to something like that, you're going to be popping vehicles so quickly. And it's such a gratifying feeling. Maybe you're a Warhammer 40K fan like I am. Every time I kill a vehicle, I just say engine kill, because I've read too many stupid books about that in Warhammer, and it's such a cool thing to say in my mind. So have fun with it, but realize that you should flex around to see what the team is doing. Are they helping you be a better engineer by painting? Well, then go ahead and take advantage of it. Lastly, repairing. Repairing is what you're going to be doing the most if you're not trying to hunt vehicles. Well, what you're going to do to help vehicles at least. Now, you can sit behind a vehicle and repair it. You can jump on top of a tank and repair it. And remember, if you're on top of a tank and an MBT law hits you, you're fine. You're probably going to tank all the way through the damage as long as you're repairing. But the real way to do it, the battlefield vet way to do it, because now this is one of the only battlefields where you won't take friendly damage from them rolling over you. Go in between the treads underneath it, face up, and just repair. They might reverse backwards, and you just kind of try to backpedal with them. You might get revealed that way, but a lot of really good tank drivers will just sit off to a point and shoot into that point, or stay away from the actual combat and allow you a chance to repair and themselves a chance to just pretty much bomb things down range with their main turret. So this gives you a chance to do a lot of repairing. But what happens when that tank that you're repairing starts to get into a tank battle? You need to be Johnny on the spot with swapping over to your launcher, shooting, and then jumping back into cover or using the tank as cover. You should be moving opposite the enemy tank at all times. If it's in front of your allied tank, you're behind the allied tank. If it's to the side of the allied tank, you're on the opposite side, repairing and then launching launchers. Because remember, your launcher is going to reduce the effectiveness of healing by 50%. Yes, that's including other engineers healing it, but it includes also emergency repairs and its maintenance that it's going to use to repair itself. So use those things to your advantage and help push the enemy tank over the edge. Another cool thing too is you can drop mines as a defense for a tank you're helping. Hey, you know what? Your tank right here, the tank's on a road. Go run down the road and drop a couple mines and come back and help repair that tank. So just be mindful of how the engineer plays. And the engineer is a very rewarding class. I'd say it's a little bit harder because you have to know so much placement and where to shoot things and be a little bit more accurate and try to get stuff down right and learning how to hide stuff. That is all kind of tricky. But once you master those things, you will find that you are going to pop vehicles like no one's business, and it is a ton of fun. So if you're an engineer that really is good at this, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Say, hey, this is what I really do to make sure that I can pop tanks effectively. And hopefully this video now gives you a better idea on how to approach engineer and get the most out of your kit, your gadgets, your throwables, and what have you. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.